The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The Philippine Statistics Authority is announcing inflation figures for January 2023. The Bangko Sentral has earlier projected the consumer price index to have settled within 7.5% to 8.3%. Let's listen in.
Noong Disyembre 2022. Ang pangatlong sanhi ng pagtaas ng inflation nitong Enero 2023 ay ang restaurants and accommodation services na may 7.6% inflation at 9.1% share sa pagtaas ng pangkalatang inflation sa bansa. Ito ay dahil sa mas mataas na presyo ng restaurants, cafe and the like na may 7.7% inflation mula sa 7.0% inflation noong Disyembre 2022. Pagdating sa pangkalatang inflation nitong Enero 2023, ang pangunahing nagambag ay ang food and non-alcoholic beverages na may 10.7% inflation at 47.0% share. Ang mga pangkat ng pagkain na pangunahing nag-ambag sa inflation ng food and non-alcoholic beverages ay ang mga sumusunod: vegetables, tubers, cooking bananas at iba pa, partikular ang sibuyas na may 37.8% inflation. Meat and other parts of slaughtered land animals gaya ng manok na may 7.0% inflation. Sugar, confectionery and dessert tulad ng brown sugar na may 38.8% inflation. Ang pangalawang commodity group na nagtala ng may pinakamalaking ambag sa pangkalatang inflation nitong Enero 2023 ay ang housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels na nagtala ng inflation na 8.5% at 21.1% share sa pangkalatang inflation. Ang mga pangunahing nagambag sa inflation ng housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels ay ang mga sumusunod: kuryente na may 22.2% inflation, renta sa bahay na may 5.0% inflation, at bayad sa tubig na may 6.1% inflation. Ang transport ang ikatlo sa may pinakamalaking ambag sa pangkalatang inflation nitong Enero 2023. Ang commodity group na ito ay nagtala ng 11.2% inflation at 11.8% share. Ang mga pangunahing nagambag sa inflation ng transport ay ang mga sumusunod: other passenger transport by road tulad ng pamasahe sa jeep na may 13.8% inflation, diesel na may 30.5% inflation, at gasoline na may 9.6% inflation. Sa 13 commodity groups, 9 ang nagtala ng mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo nitong Enero 2023. Ito ay ang mga sumusunod: food and non-alcoholic beverages na may 10.7% inflation, alcoholic beverages and tobacco na may 10.9% inflation, clothing and footwear na may 4.4% inflation, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels na may 8.5% inflation, furnishings, household equipment, and routine household maintenance na may 5.2% inflation, health na may 3.3% inflation, recreation, sport, and culture na may 4.2% inflation, restaurants and accommodation services na may 7.6% inflation, at personal care and miscellaneous goods and services na may 5.0% inflation. Samantala, nagpakita ng pagtaas ng presyo ngunit sa mas mabagal na antas nitong Enero 2023 ang transport na may 11.2% inflation. Patuloy naman nananatili sa kanilang antas ng inflation noong Disyembre 2022 ang mga sumusunod: information and communication na may 0.7% inflation, education services na may 3.6% inflation, at financial services na may 0% inflation. Samantala, ang core inflation ng bansa ay bumilis din sa antas na 7.4% nitong Enero 2023. Noong Disyembre 2022, ang core inflation ay naitala sa antas na 6.9% at 1.8% naman noong Enero 2022. Pagdating sa National Capital Region, ang headline inflation nitong Enero 2023 ay tumaas sa antas na 8.6%. Noong Disyembre 2022, ito ay naitala sa antas na 7.6% at 1.3% naman noong Enero 2022. Ang pangunahing dahilan ng pagtaas ng antas ng inflation sa National Capital Region ay ang mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels na may 6.9% inflation at 66.5% share nitong Enero 2023. Ang nag-ambag ng malaki sa pagtaas ng inflation sa housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels ay ang mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng mga sumusunod. Kuryente na may 11.8% inflation mula sa 4.8% inflation noong Disyembre 2022 at renta sa bahay na may 5.7% inflation mula sa 5.2% inflation noong Disyembre 2022. Nakaambag din sa pagtaas ng inflation ang bayad sa tubig na nagtala ng 9.0% inflation mula sa negative 8.6% inflation noong Disyembre 2022. Ang pangalawang commodity group na nagpakita ng mas mataas na antas ng inflation sa National Capital Region ay ang food and non-alcoholic beverages na may 12.1% inflation at 22.2% share sa pagtaas ng inflation nitong Enero 2023. Ito ay dahil sa mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng mga sumusunod. Meat and other parts of slaughtered land animals gaya ng manok na may 6.8% inflation mula sa 4.9% inflation noong Disyembre 2022. Vegetables, tubers, cooking bananas at iba pa, partikular ang talong na may 51.9% inflation mula sa 49.6% inflation. At fruits and nuts tulad ng saging na may 16.5% inflation mula sa 13.3% inflation noong Disyembre 2022. Ang pangatlong dahilan ng pagtaas ng inflation sa National Capital Region itong Enero 2023 ay ang restaurants and accommodation services na may 10.4% inflation at 9.7% share. Ito ay dahil sa mas mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng restaurants, cafe and the like na may 10.4% inflation mula sa 9.5% inflation noong Disyembre 2022.
Some points from that briefing. Headline inflation accelerated even further in January to 8.7%. That's from 8.1% in December of 2022. The January print is the highest annual inflation rate recorded since November of 2008. The PSA says the main driver in the uptrend of inflation was the faster year-on-year increase in housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels indices. You will see that in housing, comparatively, electricity from 11.8% from this year of January to from 4.8% in December of 2022. What's good to note also, and what we have to look at is water from negative 8.6 last year, December 2022, to January of this year. It's at 9.0%, so that's a big jump with the inflation rate. Second, we have food and non-alcoholic beverages. From December of 2022, we had 11.2% to 12.1% this January of 2023. Stay tuned for more details on PSA hearing or the PSA press conference on inflation. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News.
from the immigration detention facility. The Japanese authorities have requested for their deportation in order to face charges in Japan. However, before they could be deported, these foreign nationals should have been cleared of any charges in court. Cases against Fujita and Imamura have already been dismissed and now cleared for deportation, while alleged ringleader Watanabe, aka Luffy, and Saito still have pending bounty cases in Pasay City Regional Trial Court. The court has yet to decide on the prosecution's motion to withdraw bounty cases against Watanabe and Saito. Justice Secretary Remulla hopes that these cases will be dismissed today. Should these two plead guilty, Remulla assures they can still be deported and serve their sentence in Japan. Recall that Remulla revealed a scheme of foreign fugitives that have contrived cases in the country to avoid deportation, where they would face harsher punishments for their crimes. In the case of Watanabe and Saito, Remulla said that it is obvious that defense did not want the judge to rule on the dismissal and wanted to prolong the detention to prevent the deportation of Watanabe and Saito. Remulla said of embracing the fact that the two will be cleared because the case can be dismissed. Their lawyer, the defense, filed a motion for inhibition on the judge. Remulla admits him with lawyers filing cases against foreign nationals to delay deportation is not limited to Japanese nationals, but with other nationalities as well. Remulla said they will study this and do necessary actions, including informing the Supreme Court of how lawyers behave in this kind of cases. Diego, if Watanabe and Saito's cases will be dismissed today, second batch of deportation will be scheduled tomorrow, Wednesday, same day that President Marcos will arrive in Japan for a state visit. Diego?
Thank you for those updates, Marlene Alcaide. The construction of the UP-PGH Cancer Center is slated to start in the beginning of 2024. This as the public-private partnership eyes completion of the bidding process for the Cancer Center by the fourth quarter of this year. The National Economic and Development Authority, chaired by President Bongbong Marcos, approved the 6 billion Cancer Center project. The PPP Center says it plans on holding an investors conference within the month and issue bid documents shortly after.
Invitation to pre-qualify and bid by March, so within the first quarter of the year. And then after that, we have 6 months to complete the bidding process. So the bidders will be given time to do their due diligence and to prepare for their bid. So the bid parameter is for a lowest availability payment. So the government undertakes to pay an availability payment to the winning bidder. This is for making sure that the facility is up and it meets its minimum performance standards and specifications.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.